What's up, guys? This is Gabriel Kai, and you are watching the 3 Count Podcast.
I'm in fashion.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Into the Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, after season 4, our 300th and something episode, I would just hope you would say it with me, right? I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring today? You can find this man at Eclipse. You can find this man at Fight. You can find this man on REW, UEW. You can find him at Vibe and DCW. He is always on point. He is always on time. And he is always ultra. He is an ultra, uber charismatic Gabriel Kai.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Gosh, that's the best intro I ever gotten in my life.
Wow. Well, welcome to the show, man.
I never had anyone say all those things about me. Thank you. It's very nice.
Yeah. How you doing, though, man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Taking one day at a freaking time. One day.
That's really all that we can do, because it's like, we met a few times, right? So finally we decided we wanted to pull this trigger and get you brought up on the show and stuff like that. And even like the most recent time, we got to actually work each other at Fight. And even though it was like brief, we got our little interaction in. But no, man, it's like you have like this like infectious ball of energy that I just like being around. And so when I get to see you, I genuinely just become like, I feel larger than life because I'm around this guy who makes everybody feel larger than life. So I wanted to bring you on the show too.
That way, I really am. I be burnt out, but I don't want people to see me getting burnt out. So I'm just like, all right, come on, big ball energy. That's crazy. I'm glad someone said that though. That makes you feel better.
It is tough though, because like you have to like, whether like you're just in okay, so like full transfer in this business, right? Like you have to be like this larger than life character. You always have to, and whether you're like heel or face, you have to have this ultra personality. But then when you do like podcast interviews and stuff like that, you also have to be that same way, because like, you can't reveal behind the curtain too much, right? But that's why I love doing this show, because like you can kind of tell people like, yeah, like recently I just did a 3-day circuit and I'm exhausted. I needed to take some time to kind of just like push everything away. And I remember we do our debate show on Sundays, and Chaz was like, I'm taking a mental day, and he just didn't show to the podcast.
That's funny. Good for him. He needed a mental day at least. Yeah,
and I feel like there was something else going on too. I think his wife wanted him to go to church, and like so he was like, I'm gonna go to church and I'm taking a mental day. And then he's like, Cliff, you're not allowed to be on the podcast. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm taking a mental day too. And so we had our two friends actually do an episode of the 3 Count Podcast for us while we were gone. So
that's great.
Yeah, we lucked out. But yo, man, like right before we got on the air, right, you had been talking about how you've been traveling like North Carolina, obviously being in DC. Yo, man, like how do you manage to like juggle it all?
Well, I hate to say it, but my girlfriend, she, with her job, she has everything on like this Google Calendar type thing, and I wasn't really too I wasn't too technologically savvy when it came to like posting a picture and having like all these dates posted on where I'm working at, because like for some reason like stuff changes like an instant, so like making that whole flyer almost seems like a waste of time because I'm gonna change something on it. But she told me, because sometimes she'll remember when I have a show, sometimes she won't. So she had me put it on the calendar. So I was like, okay, I think I have to actually start doing that to really keep tabs on everything. But it wasn't like I was busy like I am now. Like I think this is probably the most I wrestled like in a short period of time, versus like 2021. I think I was wrestling at one place once a month. No, one place once a month, and then like somewhere in Richmond that same month probably, and then it would probably happen. No, not even once a month. Maybe like every other 2 months or something. It was just very very slow, very slow.
Mm.
But the Google Calendar, I hate it, but it works. Works very.
Yeah, I write all my like all the places I'm working like on a
Mhm.
physical calendar. So like when my wife comes to me and she's like, where are you going this weekend? I was like, it's on the calendar. I was like, you didn't read it. And I probably should do a more digital calendar and to like share it with her because I feel then she'll be like, I don't know what this IWL thing is, but I guess you're gonna be there. I don't know where, one CW is, but I guess you're gonna be there. So I definitely should start thinking more about like send it digitally because then you can change things up too if you need to. So I was like, that might be a good idea. I might have to start doing that now.
It's very helpful. Like, I mean, I have a whole dry erase board calendar in my room, and I haven't used it since 2020. It's just there.
It's funny too because you talk about like the number of times that you had to work in 2021. I know for me in 2020, which that was my first year like being into the business. I think I had like 4 matches, and I think I wrestled like 17 in 2021 or something like that, and then it was like 37 last year, and I was like, this is crazy. And then I saw myself the schedule this year, and I was like, dang, I'm loaded up like a lot. Like I'm working at a lot more places now. And I was like, some things probably will have to change because I can't work at all these places that I wish I could go work at.
Yeah. It's nice.
But hey, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought I saw something. No, it's nice though. Like having a busy schedule like that. It just because I don't know. Some people like to party on the weekends. I like to chill out. But if I'm wrestling, it's a completely different vibe. Like I'm excited to leave the house and go to a show. But when it's slow, it's like, oh dang, I'm just gonna stay home. I'm not gonna do anything.
It's funny because I went to a show one time and like they had told me that there's a possibility I could get booked on the show and I didn't. So what I ended up doing was like just asking people if they want to come be a part of like our, and I literally had made it up that day. I was like, yeah, we'll call it the quick cuts. So we'll just go around, ask people questions, and then see how they respond to the question. And so we started doing that, and like, all right, it became like a little thing. A little thing now. We have a lot of people who are like hit us up and they're like, hey, how come you didn't do the quick cut at our show? I'm like, didn't know you wanted us to. We really just didn't ask. It was just kind of one of those things spontaneous that we did. So, but now like so I found out that I can actually start pulling some content and stuff like that. And that, I talked to a lot of promoters and asked them first if I can, record stuff. And they're always they seem sometimes they're pretty cool about it, sometimes they're not. But never had it's been kind of cool. So we kind of like spun some things off of something that I just like I wasn't working the show, so I was like, let me ask some questions. So it kind of worked out, I guess, a little bit. But a question I want to ask you, right? How did you get into the business?
Oh, that's a very funny story. Let's see. So, I mean, like a lot of people, like I always watched wrestling as a kid. Like I first saw it when I was like 5. I can't remember like the exact match, but I know like I was 5 years old. Barney was on TV. My brother grabbed the remote and he changed the channel, and I was ready to fight, but I was 5, so I don't think I was gonna win. But um, Matt and Jeff Hardy was on the TV, and Jeff Hardy had like this green fishnet long sleeve shirt, and his hair was purple at the time. And I was like, oh, that dude looks crazy. And then he just started doing all this stuff, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like this. I just got hooked on it ever since. And like in high school, I had these big aspirations. I was like, I wanted to be in the Olympics. I didn't know if it was for like soccer or swimming. And like I was trash at both, but I had the passion for it. So I was like, maybe I could be like on the equipment management team or something. Maybe I could just be on the bus to go to the Olympics. That would be enough for me. And then I almost played collegiate soccer in New York, and it was like I thought we had all these costs situated, but it just seemed like it was just getting more expensive before I could even start. And I just weighed my options, and I was like, I'm not good at soccer anyway. I'll just come back home. So I just moved. I came back here, and then I went to community college. And because I was doing all this time getting ready to play said sport, I was like, I need to exert this effort into something else. I don't want to just be those people that go to the gym every day, but there's nothing I'm training for. You know, like I like to feel like I'm training for something. And I just jokingly typed up independent wrestling promotions in Virginia. And then I just found one that was like 10 minutes from my house. And I was like, oh, okay. Went to a show first, see how it was like. And that's how I first saw Billy Dixon. And I think I didn't message him. I think I was on one of his IG lives one time, and seemed like a pretty cool dude. So I was like, I'm a go where he goes, and then I just got started. That was 2017 that I started, and then now I'm over there in Yorktown. It's been pretty decent, I would say, but there's not really a lot of wrestling out here. So that's why whenever I post dates and stuff, you rarely see that I'm here at home, which I hate it. But at the same time, I don't really like living here anyway. I want to move. It's all good. That's pretty much how I started. I just jokingly typed it up, and I was like, oh, I could probably do this. And then I started training, and I was like, oh, this ain't bad. I think I can do this for real. Okay. I think I got some here. And then, naturally, just not naturally. It definitely wasn't like the easiest thing. I think it was just the running that was weird. I just didn't know how to run in a straight line.
Mm.
But the bumps I figured out like right away. Cause I'm clumsy. So I was like, well, now if I fall in public, I know how to fall correctly. That was a big one. That was a big one that day.
I remember it was funny. So at the job that I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had this big like trainer conference, and like we all started playing 21 like at the end of the conference. And my boss had shot the ball. He like airballed it bad. He's never gonna claim it happened. It happened. But regardless, I was running after the ball, and like I dove out to go like we were playing 21. Why I'm trying to save a ball instead of just go grab it? I don't know. I dove over the top and like just face bumped into like pretty much on the hardwood floor, but I saved the ball, but everybody else, scored points. Regardless though, my trainer was like, my boss was like, why would you do that? I was like, I don't know, but I'm ready to go. He's like, how did you land like that? I was like, I don't know. I've been training this way for like the last 3 years, so I should know how to take a face bump.
That's hilarious. They don't want to act like it comes in handy in real life, but it does. More than you realize, I think, to be honest.
I was like, yo, my whole world slowed down as it was like I'm falling. I was like, yo. So speaking of like training for bumps and like taking dumb ones when you're not supposed to, what's the worst bump that you've taken?
The worst bump I've taken. Okay. The worst bump I've taken. I was at a show out here locally, and we was in this auditorium, and dude wanted to give me like a DDT on the outside, like on the stage floor. And I always thought spike bumps were pretty cool. So that's what I did. Like I did a spike bump, but like I didn't know people didn't hit their heads on the like when they bumped. So like as soon as he went, I was like, "Don't!" And like I was fine. I had like a bump on my head, but like when I watched it back, I was like, "Dang, are you supposed to do that? I don't think so. That doesn't look right. That didn't look safe." And then I was watching. I think who was the best one at taking it? At the time, I think it was either Austin Aries or Bobby Roode, one of them. And I was like, "Oh, his head didn't. He didn't hit his head at all." I learned that day. I had like this bump at the top of my head, lasted for like 2 weeks. Crazy. If I didn't have all this hair, I think I probably would have gave myself a concussion.
That is definitely yeah, it's funny because like I think about those type of bumps and stuff like that, and I know like I've been like doing this show for quite some time now, so like I can actually like when people tell me like the certain bumps that they've hit and certain bumps that they've taken, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I decided not to take set bump or set move,
Mhm.
right? I I had one bump, right? It wasn't the worst bump I've taken, but it was definitely one of the scariest ones to everybody else on the outside, right? I was working a dark match, and I got picked up for a schoolboy driver, right? But I've never taken like set move before. So anyway, as I get pulled up for the driver, uh, yeah, I got told right beforehand, like, hey, just kind of stay loose, let me control you because I'll be able to. And he was like, I'll be able to take care of you. And instead, what happened was I stiffened up because I was trying to help pull myself up on top, and I just got driven straight down. Now I landed like high on my shoulders, but everybody else swore I landed on my neck. And I was like, no, 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 I'm fine. I'm great. And I just like got up and like walked off. Everyone were like, do you realize what happened? I was like, no, I have not seen this footage back yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, still.
Oh, wow.
Because I've asked for it, but it's just I've never got it. And I'm like, I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm sure it looked horrible.
Oh, yeah, especially they reacted like that, like, it must have been a believable sell.
Yeah,
I mean, was that the end of the match, though?
it was, thank God, because like it went
Oh.
right to a 3 count, and then like I laid there, I laid there for a little bit. I rolled out the ring, and then I walked to the back, and everybody was like, "Yo, are you okay?" I was like, "No, I'm great."
I'm like, yeah, shoulder's a little
Wow.
tight, I'm good.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Meanwhile, like the top of my neck was like, "Hey, man, we ain't looking left or right." Yo, so question I do have, right? You have your character, you've kind of built it up, you built this whole world like around your character, but what do you do to help like continue evolving and changing your character?
Ooh, um, well, that's a good question because, to be honest, I've been bouncing between, like, a lot of different ones, like, when I started out, I just did whatever, my trainer at the time told me to do, so I was, like, just this thrift store Umaga character getting pneumonia after every show, and, for some reason, I wanted to do, like, this mask gimmick where I was, like, Rosie, but, like, faster? Or, like, I don't know, just Rosie, like, I liked Rosie a lot, and I liked his work with Hurricane, so I was like, "Oh, I wanna do that," and, I think what stopped that, I was just like it felt like my peers were, like, joking about it a little too much to where it felt like they were making fun of it, and I was starting to, like, doubt it a lot, so I was like, "Alright, I'm just gonna ditch that real quick because I don't wanna hear y'all joke no more." But with this one, um, to be honest, when I got injured, I was really, like, telling myself, "Okay." I watched all the stuff that I was doing before I got injured, and I was like, I'm just a dude out there. I'm just this fat kid people are cheering for. There's not a character right there." So I was like, I need to figure out who I am right now. And I was watching Kung Fu Panda, like all three of them at once, and I was like, "Yo, this is me as a character." And I was like, "Okay, what can I do to take this out and kind of apply it to wrestling?" And it's like the stuff that I was already doing, it's like I could do that, but like I learned real quick I wasn't having fun like I wanted to. So once I started doing that, things just really started to organically form before me. And where I'm at right now with this character, it's like I know it could go in so many different directions, and it's like my next move with it really sorry. My next move with it honestly is I'm just basing it off of what happens next. Because I feel like I could really like I feel really free with it now to where honestly I'm not even ready for what I do next. But I know whatever it is, it's gonna be something that I can do comfortably and really wow people without taking the fun away. There we go. Yeah.
I think that's like the important thing, and you kind of like hit it like dead on the head, right? Is that like at the end of the day, like if you're not having fun with like the character that you're doing or whatever you're trying to portray, like it just sucks all the life out of everything. Because
Yeah.
like I know, and you brought up like something that I have happened too, right? Happened to me. I was like getting in, I didn't know who my character was, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so my trainer, and I love Sick to death, but he was like, hey, well, you're in the military, so we're gonna make you the military guy. He's like, so cut promos like people in the military would like just be very stoic about it and like give your like be very straightforward and like da 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 like the military guys do. And I was like, you never served in the military, but okay, I can shoot for this, right?
Right.
And so I started cutting promos very seriously. Like I was a part of like this big agency, and that like I was getting commands and like orders, like and targets to hit. But I was doing it serious, and it was just like so forced. And I was like, I don't really like this at all. I was like, it's kind of getting over. I was like, but I kind of need this to be a little bit more free than what it is. And he was like, well, cut a promo how you want to. And so I just like opened up and just like started making jokes and stuff like that. And he's like, that's not what military people do. I was like, hey, clearly you've never been. I was like, we make dark humor jokes all the time. I
Yeah.
was like, and that's the reason why I want to run this. And he was just like, okay, well, let's try it out. And so once I kind of like, I had a couple matches and then I started opening up more, having more fun with it. And he was like, okay, this is what we're looking for. He's like, this feels natural. And I was like, I'm having fun with it. And so like, I started asking more people like, hey, what would you do here? What would you do here? And then like started opening this entire world up about like how much, what Red Dog wants to do. And then like everybody started telling me to come up with like questions to figure it out. And I think that's what really broke everything for like Red Dog. Cause it was like, does Red Dog like Pepsi or Coke? And I was like, he hates both because they taste the same. He loves Mountain Dew though. And like then
Oh, those
I
questions.
started creating like yeah, I started creating like this giant world of just like everything that he wants to do. But really it was just me cranked up to 1 million and then just like throwing some Ryan Reynolds quotes and then
Mhm.
you're there.
Yeah.
Hey, what's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn being in the business?
I think two lessons I think I was given. Um the first one I would say was had a I was well, let me get my thoughts straight. Hold on. Okay. So, I think one of the first lessons I was given was I really needed to learn how to be more selfish in a way. Because I always like, I mean, I'm always down for whatever, unless I really don't want to work with a specific person due to like either their level of experience or something I heard. And I'm really quick to just letting them get every single bit of themselves in that match, and I'm just like they're just looking dead, taking everything, and it was hard to like look back at my matches because I was be watching. I'm just getting beaten up, bro. Like, and these like I looking in the crowd, they don't care because I'm just laying there, just taking everything, and I'm like, why am I doing that? And it was just really it was hard because I'm not really used to being selfish. I would say, like, I really like to I think I'm a people pleaser, like a very bad people pleaser. Like, if the people around me aren't cool with whatever it is, then I'll try to like adjust it. But I'm not gonna follow you and do whatever you're doing. I'll just try to make sure that, nobody got a problem with what I'm doing, if that makes sense. But now it's just like the there's nothing wrong with being selfish as long as there's a balance in between. Because like it's not a one person sport. It's like it's a team effort. Like you guys got to work with each other, make each other look good. Also got to trust each other to protect each other. And now that I'm more aware of that, I feel like I'm more in control of what I can do, what I can produce, and I could really like kind of showcase myself more. And that was one lesson. The other lesson um, was to really, 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 really learn to take more chances because although with what we do, it's like yeah, like the work has to be done here, the work has to be done there, but then like you got these like like one in a million chances that may not appear again for a while, and you're really like if you don't take it right there, you're sitting there thinking like, dang, if I did take that, then I'd probably be in a much different position. Like when I got injured, I was thinking about all the cool seminars that were taking place, the cool people that I would study that I could have met if I wasn't injured. And, I was just thinking, like, I thought too much about, like, oh, why did I not do this before? I could have met them already, or I could have worked with them by now, and all this other stuff. And the more I'm learning to take more chances, the more I'm learning, like, I could really, like, even if nothing comes out of it, I don't want to live with regretting anything, you know? Because I think for a while that's what I was doing. So definitely know how to be know how to be more selfish for yourself, and also don't be regretful when you don't take certain chances. That's probably how I would sum it up.
I like both of those. Those are great lessons to like hand out to people.
Yeah, because I had a guy, one of the NXT referees. He's from here, and he trained with us a couple times. And I sent him one of my matches, and I sent him 2 matches, and he watched both of them, and he was like, "Dude, like you're you're doing so much for this guy, but you're not doing anything for yourself in this match." And he was like, I can't really tell you what you can do except do more. Like pick and choose when you want to be selfish in this match, but make sure you have your own. Like make sure Gabriel was in the match. And I took that to heart, and I've been really like trying to make sure that like a little bit of me is in every single match without cutting myself short all the time. So
Right. And then it really does come down to that balance, that give and take. I know, like I was working at a show, and I had an individual like try to break everything down like in a percentage base, and he's like, I'm giving 60% of the offense, and you're only giving 40, and I was like, I don't care. It's like that's fine. Like let's just go have fun. And like we got back, and he's like, well, I just feel really bad. I was like, bro, are you safe? He's like, yeah. I was like, am I safe? He's like, yeah. I was like, did we have fun? He's like, yeah. I was like, I don't care. I was like, great, we did it. But then I've also talked to people where like it's been like 90-10, and the story didn't make sense because like at the time I was a face, and I was just taking like 10% of the I gave like 10% of the offense and then didn't win the match. And so like I definitely understand where you're coming from about being a lot more selfish and getting more of you in versus like you're not really taking away from somebody. You're just like, hey, yo, I want to work my character side too as well, and kind of like make this story make sense, a
yeah.
lot more sense. So I definitely understand that. So you've traveled like to different places. You've been around for a while. One thing I do want to ask is I need one do and one don't of the locker room.
One do and one don't of the locker room.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Um. Oh, do definitely do clean up after yourself. And even if like you see stuff like you see some like trash in the locker room and you know that you didn't leave that trash there, if you saw it, just pick it up, just throw it away. Like the people that own the building will appreciate it, the promoters will appreciate it, and the locker will appreciate it because they'll be able to go back to that building. And don't don't what's a good don't? Unless told by uh the promoter, don't let no fan in the locker room. That's a big one. I mean, it hasn't. I think it happened once, but I wasn't around. Like someone told me, I went to the bathroom. I came back. People were mad. I didn't know what went down. I just shook it off because I was like, hey, I wasn't here for it. So whoever did it, not to do it again. Whatever, fine. So
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation that you have to have one with the promoter, and not just the promoters, but like at least a few of the other wrestlers. Because like if you just bring somebody to the back, like I had a kid ask me I was at a show, and he actually asked myself and all of pure ignorance. He's like, "Hey, can you take me backstage?" We're like, "No, we can't." And he's like, "Well, why not?" I was like, "That's sacred ground, bro." I was like, "You ain't allowed back there." And he was just like, "Oh, okay, all right, I see how it is." I was like, "Yeah,
No other way to
it
put
is. That's the line."
it. Put it, man. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he's fine. I'm sure he's probably not over there crying about it. Some still to this day. Hey, so those are all like my heavy hitting questions, but we do have to get into the best segment of the 3 Count Podcast,
Okay.
and that is the 3 Count Podcast 10 count questions. Mr. Gabriel, this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
10 questions?
10 questions.
Okay. All right. Gotta really like get my frontal lobe to activate. All right. Let's do it.
All
I'm ready.
right, we're gonna put on an imaginary timer for added pressure.
Okay.
Bing! And in the words of Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite actor?
Jackie Chan.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Favorite movie?
The Pest.
Marvel or DC?
Ooh. DC.
Favorite cartoon?
Jimmy Neutron.
All right. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Favorite podcast?
3 Count Podcast.
Right? Nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
One person I want to see on the show. Christian Robinson.
Yes.
I feel like he has a very interesting perspective of things. Pretty cool, dude.
And last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
Well, I can't say it in my house, but I'll just say the S word.
Sugar, honey, iced tea.
I take a lot of those.
Bet. Well, that's all my questions I do have for you. So the last thing we need is to have you let our viewers and our listeners know where they can find you.
Oh, great. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, it's _ Gabriel Kai. I would say that I'm more interactive on Twitter, but I promise I'm not. Instagram is kind of like my main platform that I use. So I would probably follow that one.
Well, there you go. He gave you all of his handles. He told you where you can find him and where you can interact with him the most. Anyway, but like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take it home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Winter Ring. And I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And, you know, like I said, I'm your Sherpa. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently. You can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering. And you see him right there. The gorgeous, most handsome person that has ever graced this stage, Gabriel Kai. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there. Or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're even subscribed to you're subscribed to Apple Podcasts and you're leaving those 5-star /reviews. You're buying our merch on ProWrestlingTees.com or on ForYourWear.com. You're telling all your friends about us. You're leaving comments, your likes. You're even sharing this with people that you don't like. You're doing all that stuff, or you're really just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kwai. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3Count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment.
We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. Oh, at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.